If Russia can freeze the conflict in Ukraine, its forces could be ready to attack Europe in as little as 6 years. A new study has warned Europe's NATO member states have only 5 to 9 years to be combat ready and prepare for a possible Russian attack on alliance territory. This warning comes from a newly published policy brief by the German Council on Foreign Relations, titled Preventing the Next War. Authors Christian Mölling and Torben Schütz from the prestigious Berlin think tank Center for Security and Defense concluded that the next war in Europe can only be effectively prevented within a limited time frame. Mölling and Schütz point out that Russia, as a result of its war against Ukraine, has already converted its arms production to the level needed in the wartime economy. Russian ground forces suffered the greatest losses in terms of personnel and materiel. Germany and NATO are now in a race against time to bolster their conventional forces to deter a possible Russian attack on NATO member states such as Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia. German Defense Minister Germany bears special responsibility for protecting eastern flank. To watch this video, please enable and consider switching to a web browser that supports HTML5 video DGAP security. Policy expert Mölling based the analysis on information from Germany's intelligence and defense services. This is in line with new policy guidelines for Germany's armed forces. The Bundeswehr, that Defense Minister Boris Pistorius announced in early November. In his presentation, Pistorius used term combat ready for the first time as a goal to rebuild Bundeswehr. With Putin's brutal attack on Ukraine, war has returned to Europe, Pistorius said as he presented the new directive to Germany's armed forces. As most populous and economically powerful country in the center of Europe, Germany must be backbone of deterrence and collective security in Europe. The study bases time frame for NATO strengthen its deterrence on the assumption that Russia has managed to freeze conflict in Ukraine, which will give Moscow time rebuild its military. But few in Berlin's political circles think the Ukrainian war will stop any time soon. Both sides have other military plans. Nico Lange, a Russia analyst at the Munich Security Conference, told DW, frozen fronts in Ukraine. Valerii Zaluzhnyi, commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian armed forces, recently pointed out that military aid to his country from nearly 50 countries, led by the United States, has so far resulted in only one stalemate. European security. Is Germany fit to fight? Since it began in June, Ukraine's counteroffensive has barely moved the front lines in the country's east and south. Austrian military analyst Markus Reisner told DW that Russia has an advantage in a static war, because its now activated arms industry can supply artillery on an almost unlimited scale. Reisner said Ukraine can only win if the conflict becomes active again, and will need